Live? Awesome. So, guys, welcome to Virtual Closeness. Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you guys for joining us. I'm here at the build site. We're building a tiny house, and my wife's back home. And, we figured, you know what, we can keep this thing going because we have cell phones nowadays, so we don't have to stop it. We can make it happen. We can make it work wherever we're at. So thank you guys for joining us today. Gurudev, our Gurudev, Jivananda Das Vanachari. It's our pleasure to have him here. He's going to be giving a wonderful lecture. And what's the title of the lecture, Gurudev?
A garden full of weeds.
A garden full of weeds.
Huh. So what does that mean, huh? What is he talking about now? Jeez.
Take it away, Gurudev.
All right. First of all, let me say it is a deep pleasure to see all of you, those that I can see, or at least be with you. It is a great pleasure. And I feel very fortunate. I feel blessed to have your association. So let's talk about this garden full of weeds and who wants it. Nobody wants a garden full of weeds, do they? So often when we're attempting to grow a garden of succulent vegetables, or berries, or fruits, flowers, we get these unwanted guests, these weeds. We have our creepers or sprouts that we want to protect. They're valuable to us. When you're growing a garden, they're very valuable to us. They're the result of all the work that we put into preparing the soil, planting the seeds, nourishing them. And so Prabhupada says when we're watering a garden, we want to water the seeds that we're trying to nourish. But there's also weeds, seeds from weeds in the soil, and we're watering them as well. So these unwanted guests will sprout. So we get these undesirables come up. The undesirables have a tendency to soak up some of the nourishment in the soil, some of the nutrients, some of the water, and they can starve your valuable vegetables, fruits, berries, flowers, whatever. So there's kind of like this war going on there. If these weeds are allowed to be there, they're going to multiply. They're going to grow. And we have to be careful not to let them overtake our garden, which they will. It seems like if any of you, I'm not sure if any of you have had some direct experience at growing a nice garden, organic, of course. I don't know if you've had the experience that I'm talking about, but I have. And we had gigantic garden at Gita Nagari back in the 70s, and I've had personal gardens myself. And it seems like the weeds really don't take much care. You know, you don't have to baby them and go out of your way to fertilize them or water them. It's just like they sprout and they grow quickly. The valuable things are berries and fruits and flowers and whatever. Not so much. We have to give them some love and encouragement, really watch after them. So, but inevitably, there will be weeds. So Prabhupada he called these the seeds that are in our heart, he referred to them as hippie seeds. So we're becoming devotees, but we have hippie seeds. None of you are hippies, I don't think. And if you're hippies, you were hippies. But if you were, I'm glad you made it through that phase. But we have these seeds from material life that are in our heart and in our mind, in our psyche. And they're always trying to grow. You don't have to go out of your way to get them to sprout and to be fruitful and multiply. They can do that on their own. So one who is determined to grow a very nice garden must constantly be aware and dedicated to tending to these weeds to preserve the health and success of the garden. It's a constant thing. I remember going out to my garden and there would be a weed there that just sprouted in a day or so, and it's already growing very quickly. So I get this title from reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, and this is a conversation. These are Lord Chaitanya's words to Srila Rupa Goswami, and he's talking about this this very thing. Although this is a metaphor. He's not actually talking about your garden. He's talking about the garden of your heart. And the creeper that we want to protect is the Bhakti Lata Bij. It means the sprout of pure devotion. So when we encounter the devotees of Krishna, this Bij, which we have, is nourished by the chanting the holy name, taking prasadam, Krishna Katha, and it will grow and grow and grow. It's actually said that the spiritual master actually plants that seed of the Bhakti Lata Bij. So let's hear what Lord Chaitanya has to say. And you guys can stop me at any time with questions, comments, or criticism. Hey, there's Joe. Hare Krishna, Joe. So we're looking at Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 19, verses 158 through 161. And this is Lord Chaitanya talking to Srila Rupa Goswami. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Kintu yadi latara sangi ute upashaka. Buki muki vancha yata asangya tara leka. Translations. Sometimes unwanted creepers, such as the creepers of desires for material enjoyment and liberation from the material world, grow along with the creeper of devotional service. The varieties of such unwanted creepers are unlimited. This is a potent statement by the Lord. Sometimes unwanted creepers, such as the creepers, the sprouts of desires for material enjoyment. We may start out wanting to take up devotional service. And from time to time, we may have these material seeds that will sprout, meaning that we want to enjoy materially. It starts out, we're trying to be bhakti yogis, and we're trying to grow our devotional creeper, which means I want to learn to do for Krishna. I want to serve Krishna. I want to make Krishna happy. When we hear this concept, along with the chanting of Hare Krishna, Sadam Krishna Katha, this becomes very attractive to us. At some point, the Bhakti Yogi, he becomes aware that this is attractive and this is what I want to do. We can understand early on the philosophy that for me to just do for myself is not going to give me fulfillment. It never has, and I don't have the faith that it ever will. So we start wanting to turn our activities, our actions, our thoughts, and our words towards serving Krishna and pleasing Krishna. Excuse me. But along the way, we get some material desires. Material desires are, I want to please me. That happens. So you're not a pure devotee right out of the starting gate. You're going to go set off to please Guru and Krishna. And from time to time, you're going to find yourself wanting to please you. That's okay. Not absolutely okay. But it's par for the course. What you need to do is to continue to take care of your garden, take care of your devotional creeper by fertilizing it with the holy name, Krishna Katha, Krishna Prasadam, Devotee association is extremely important. If you get in a crowd of devotees and you have some material distractions, just by hearing the words of the sadhus, the devotees, these desires will start to fade away. Narada Muni became Narada Muni because he was associating with sadhus. During the rainy season, he was serving. He was taking remnants off their plate and listening to their Krishna Katha, chanting with them. And so he became a bona fide 100% pure devotee. So a very great devotee. So along with the creeper of devotional service, these other creepers or these other sprouts can start to take up the nourishment. Nourishment in the form of our efforts to grow our garden, to grow our devotional creeper. We just get a little distracted from time to time. We can deal with that. That's not going to hurt anybody. So long as we continue the process. If we continue hearing and chanting, associating with devotees, then these weeds are going to be pushed away. So Lord Chaitanya says something very amazing here. The varieties of such unwanted creepers are unlimited. So this is quite amazing. Unlimited? We would think that there would be a limit to these material desires, material distractions. But that's not the fact. Lord Chaitanya says the varieties of such unwanted creepers are unlimited. So we go on to the next verse. Are there any comments or questions before I move on to the next verse? Excuse me for a minute. I have to get a throat lozenge. My throat is kind of dry. I think because I'm in Arizona. Oh. See, this body's even a distraction. I'm wanting to practice Krishna Katha with all of you nice devotees, and yet my body is saying, no, I need this, I need that. So this is a distraction. But I'm going to use that as service because maybe I can serve you better. Next verse, where Chaitanya says, Nishida Chara Kunita Kunita Kuntinati Jiva Himsana Labha Puja Pratishtari Yata Upakshakana. Translation. Some unnecessary creepers growing with the Bhakti Lata creeper are the creepers of behavior unacceptable for those trying to attain perfection. Diplomatic behavior, animal killing, mundane profiteering, mundane adoration, and mundane importance. All these are unwanted creepers. So let's go over these unnecessary creepers that grow with the Bhakti Lata creeper. Unaccepted behavior for those who are trying to attain perfection include, but not limited to, diplomatic behavior. Now, what does this mean? Basically, that means dualistic. The diplomat may have instructions from his government to address another government, and he's got to be kind of on the fence. He's saying, this is, our country wants to do this, but he's also acting like he's their friend, and I'm looking out for you. Basically, he's dualistic. I guess we could sum that up by saying two-faced. So this two-faced diplomatic dualistic behavior, that is an unwanted sprout, an unwanted creeper in our garden. Animal killing, not just animal killing, but meat eating. We all know that. Mundane profiteering. Well, what are we talking about here? Mundane profiteering. That means making money for my gratification. Now, if you say, but I need to go make money so I can build a tiny house or a gigantic house so that I can move my deities in there and then I can use that as Krishna's house, then that's not mundane profiteering. Mundane profiteering means I'm doing for me. I've stopped doing for Krishna, but I'm really doing it for me. So I'm following my whims and my desires. So mundane adoration. Now, what are we talking about? I want to do something so that the world may adore me. I want to write a mundane song or a mundane poet. I want to do something to get the adoration of my fellow man. This is false ego. Fame, profit, adoration, and distinction. These are the motivating factors that cause the materialist to do things. They're motivated by fame. I want to be famous. Profit. I need money. I want to make money because I want to enjoy. Adoration. I want people to adore me. And distinction. I want to be distinguished. I want people to know that I was the guy that invented this, or that I was the person who did this best, or whatever. Lord Chaitanya says these are all unwanted creepers. So Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, there is a certain pattern of behavior prescribed for those actually trying to become perfect. In our Krishna consciousness movement, we advise our students not to eat meat, not to gamble, not to engage in illicit sex, and not to indulge in intoxication. People who indulge in these activities can never become perfect. Oh, hold on. That's a pretty strong statement. People who indulge in these activities can never become perfect. Therefore, these regulative principles are for those interested in becoming perfect and going back to Godhead. Kuntinati, or diplomatic behavior, cannot satisfy the Atma, the soul. It cannot even satisfy the body or mind. The culprit mind is always suspicious. Therefore, our dealings should always be straightforward and approved by the Vedic authorities. If we treat people diplomatically or duplicitously, our spiritual advancement is obstructed. We need to heed this. If we are two-faced, diplomatic, or duplicitous, Prabhupada says it right here. Our spiritual advancement is obstructed. Jiva himsana refers to the killing of animals or to envy or to the envy of other living entities. The killing of poor animals is undoubtedly due to envy of those animals. The human form is meant for the understanding of Krishna consciousness, Hato Brahma Jigyasi, or inquiring about the Supreme Brahman. In the human form, everyone has a chance to understand the Supreme Brahman. The so-called leaders of human society do not know the real aim of human life and are therefore busy with economic development. This is misleading. Every state and every society is busy trying to improve the quality of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So I'm going to pause before I go on with this. The so-called leaders of society do not know the real aim of human life. And yes, they put their time and energy into at least making you confident or to believe that you will be able to increase the quality of their eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. You get enough money, You can afford higher cut, more expensive cuts of meat. You can afford a much more expensive bed. Um, they have beds. I think some of them are like $10,000, and they're adjustable with a little switch. You can make it this. The thing of it is, sleeping is pretty much sleeping unless you have some medical problem. All you have to do is find something that's either soft enough or firm enough or somewhere in the middle for you to go to sleep. And so that it's something that will not hurt your back. It's kind of doubtful if we have to spend a tremendous amount of money, but people, they're saying like that. The politicians, they mislead like that. Every state and every society is busy trying to improve the quality of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. This human form of life is meant for more than these four animal principles. Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending are problems found in the animal kingdom. And the animals have solved these problems without difficulty. So, yes, eating is a problem if you don't have anything to eat. Sleeping is a problem if you don't have any place to sleep. Mating is a problem if you can't find a mate. And defending is a problem if you're defenseless. You see? The animals have already solved these problems. And pretty much the human beings spend their time solving these problems as well. The difficulty is that people are not educated to understand this simple philosophy. They think that advancement of civilization means increasing sense gratification. Although there are many groups of people that say they want to save the planet or they want to feed the poor, whatever, still their chief goal is to increase their eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Typically. There are many religious propagandists who do not know how the ultimate problems of life can be solved. And they also try to educate people in a form of sense gratification. This is also jiva himsa. Real knowledge is not given, and religionists mislead the general public. We see this to a great deal. There are many so-called religious leaders, and basically you can see they don't live a very austere life. Many of them are fabulously wealthy. Uh, they're also looking to increase their eating, sleeping, mating. So, in other words, they're not Brahminical. If they're not Brahminical, we don't need to be learning spiritual life. Granted, they can take you to a certain level. They can help you go to a certain level of understanding it. Yes, there is a God. God is the supreme controller, and you'd better do what he wants you to do. They can take you to that level. So, as far as giving you pure love of Godhead, no, no. Prabhupada goes on, as far as material profits are concerned, one should know that whatever material profit one has must be abandoned at the time of death. Yeah. No matter how much you make, no matter how safe you hide it, at the time of death, it stays here. You leave to go to another body. When you take that next body, you can't go online and get your money and claim your money. When Bill Gates leaves his current body, I hope he lives a long, and he's already had a long and healthy life. But when he leaves, his money will stay. And typically what happens, the relatives will fight over it. The lawyers will make a lot of money. A lot of his money will go to the lawyers of the people who are trying to get his money. So it has to be abandoned at the time of death. Unfortunately, people do not know that there is life after death. Therefore, mundane people waste their time amassing material profits, which to be left behind at the time of death. Such profits, such profit has no eternal benefit. Similarly, adoration by mundane people is valueless because after death, after death, one has to accept another body. Material adoration and titles are decorations that cannot be carried over to the next body. In the next life, everything is forgotten. Many people are interested in past life regression. They can go to people who will tell them and maybe even convince them. And maybe some of them can actually do that. They tell you about a previous life. So if you could find someone, and let's say you find someone who's perfectly bona fide in telling you what your last life was, and in your last life you were one of the Rockefellers, you were Nelson Rockefeller, you had billions of dollars. You go and say, hey, wait a minute. I left this big fortune and now I want it back. Sorry. You have a whole new life and you've had to abandon it. In this life, this new life, everything is forgotten. No way to convince them. You can't lay proprietorship to the property. Prabhupada goes on. All these obstructions have been described in this verse as unwanted creepers. They simply present obstacles for the real creeper, the bhakti lata. One should be very careful to avoid all these unwanted things. Sometimes these unwanted creepers look exactly like the bhakti creeper. They appear to be of the same size and the same species when they are packed together with the bhakti creeper. But in spite of this, the creepers are called upashaka. The pure devotee can distinguish between the bhakti creeper and a mundane creeper, and he is very alert to distinguish them and keep them separate. Meaning that the devotee is always trying to separate these material desires from his spiritual desires. So we need to learn when our activities, when our thoughts, our words, and our actions are actually on the devotional platform, and when they're material. To thine own self be true. Learn to be honest with yourself. If you want to do something material, do it, okay? But recognize that it's material and try to somehow or other push that away, overcome that. So one of the ways that we do things like that, it's just like my godbrother, dear godbrother, Gurlab Darshan, when I had this nice organic garden back in the 80s, that's what I had. It was the 80s, middle 80s. He was very expert and still is. And so there's weeds in the garden. And he came over and I was pulling the weeds. And he said, that's one way to do it. You can pull these weeds. And then I was putting them in the compost. And he suggested, why not just take some mulch and put them on the weed? And the mulch will kill the weed, and the weed becomes mulch. And I thought, well, that's very good. Good idea, good suggestion. Thank you very much. Ha 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 ha. Okay. It's different when I have you all here and at least get a chuckle. So when we have these material creepers that are sprouting, things are starting to get material in our actions and our desires, we dump some fertilizer on it. We dump some mulch on it. What is that? Increase our chanting, increase our hearing. Hearing is also through the ears, and reading. Increase our devotee association, try to increase our service. And this will push these weeds back down and make them not such a threat. So before I go on to the next verse, are there any questions, comments? All right, next verse. Seka jalapana upashaka badiyaya. Sabdahana mula shaka badite napaya. Translation, Lord Chaitanya says, if one does not distinguish between the bhakti creeper and the other creepers, the sprinkling of water is misused because the other creepers are nourished while the bhakti creeper is curtailed. If there's enough weeds in your garden, as we've discussed before, when you water the garden, you're watering your nice vegetables and flowers. You're also watering the weeds. So we have to distinguish. It's easy, somewhat easy, to distinguish between what is a weed and what is a flower, what is a vegetable, berries, whatever. So it gets to be a little bit more of a challenge to distinguish between material desires and spiritual desires. In time, we will become expert at that. For now, just keep trying. Keep your eye on the goal of eradicating material desires by spiritualizing all of your desires. You can't stop desiring. Don't even try. Just try to desire for Krishna. Try to desire in such a way that want something that will result in something that you can use to better serve Krishna. Prabhupada says in the purport, if one chants the Hare Krishna mantra while committing offenses, these unwanted creepers will grow. Wow. So we're chanting Hare Krishna while committing offenses. So your unwanted creepers, your material desires, they will grow. But wait a minute, I thought chanting Hare Krishna would make my devotional creeper go. But if you're committing offenses, basically offending others, basically offending devotees, then you're going to curtail the growth of your creeper. It cannot and will not be healthy. One should not take advantage of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra for some material profit. What is that called if we do that? Anybody know?
Cheating?
Cheating. And it's also karma kanda. I'm turning the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra into karma kanda. I'm doing this to get some benefit for me. As mentioned in verse 159, which we've already touched on, Nishidhachara Kuntinata Jiva Himsana Labha Puja Pratishadi Yata Upashakana Gana. The unwanted creepers have been described by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He states that if one hears and chants without trying to give up offenses, one becomes materially attached to sense gratification. One may also desire freedom from material bondage, like the Mayavadis, or one may become attached to the yoga siddhis and desire wonderful yogic powers. If one is attached to wonderful material activities, one is called siddhi logi, greedy for material perfection. We know the world is full of these siddhi logis. They're greedy for material perfection. One may also be victimized by diplomatic or crooked behavior. or one may associate with women for illicit sex, or men for illicit sex. One may make a show of devotional service, like the Prakrita Sahajas, or one may try to support his philosophy by joining some caste or identifying himself with a certain dynasty, claiming a monopoly on spiritual advancement. Throughout India, there are particular castes, and they claim like they have a monopoly on spiritual advancement. There are some descendants of, at least they say they are, descendants of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, and they are just that way. They feel that they're the only true spiritualists on the planet. We don't recognize that as a fact. So let's go back. Prabhupada touches on something that's very interesting. One may also desire freedom from material bondage like the Mayavadis. The Mayavadis are wanting liberation, but it's motivated by sense gratification. They're not looking to please Krishna. They're looking for a better position. Whether or not their bodies, they know that they're eternal. So they have their sat, and they're approaching the chit, but they're not quite there yet because they don't know about Ananda, eternal blissfulness. So they feel that if I can make it into the Brahmjyoti, then I don't have to take birth again, and I'll be peaceful. I'll have Shanti. The Buddhists want to go to Nirvana for the same reason. Neither of these folks are looking for Krishna. They're not looking for love. They're looking for something that will give them some pleasure. Some people want to go to heaven. Why? Not to go see God. Some people might. But basically, people want to go to God to keep from going to the other place, or just because heaven is a really great place. So this is tainted with material desires. So, and Prabhupada mentions one may become attached to the yoga cities. The yoga cities are magical yogic powers. Prabhupada calls them wonderful yogic powers. What he's meaning by this wonderful means full of wonder, not really great and really fantastic. Full of wonder, wonderful. They're the kind of magic powers that make people go, wow, you can do that? You must be, maybe you're God, or you're better than the rest of us because you can do some magical yogic thing. Or one may become, let's see, if one is attached to wonderful material activities, it is called city lovi. All of this may be just a show of spiritual life. It's a Prabhupada called it showball. It's just a show. And it's Prakrita Sahaja. Sahaja is a pretender, someone who's like an actor. You may see an actor and they're acting like they're a lawman, or a cowboy. They're not that. They're just pretending to be. And they're very convincing. So this is sahaja, someone who's pretending to be something that they're not. And typically the sahajas can be they try hard, they can be very convincing. Prabhupada goes on. Thus, with the support of family tradition, one may become a pseudo-guru or so-called spiritual master. One may become attached to the four sinful activities, illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, and meat eating. Or one may consider a Vaishnava to belong to a mundane caste or creed. One may think this is a Hindu Vaishnava and this is a European Vaishnava. European Vaishnavas are not allowed to enter the temples. In Jagannath Puri, although I heard that there may be some change in that, but currently in Jagannath Puri, You may be a Vaishnava, but if you're a European or American Vaishnava, you can't come in the temple to see Lord Jagannath because you're not Indian. So we're identifying with your body and also the country from where you come. In other words, one may consider Vaishnavas in terms of birth, thinking one a Brahman Vaishnava, other a Sudra Vaishnava, other a Malecha Vaishnava, and so on. So, material confusion. Prabhupada goes on. One may also try to carry out a professional business by means of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra or reading Srimad Bhagavatam, or one may try to increase his monetary strength by illegal means. Let me pause and address that. And there are many people in India and other places who earn a living by chanting Hare Krishna. They earn a living by reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. You can hire a Brahmin to come to someone's wedding, and he'll read some Bhagavatam and for a price. A true Brahmin would come if he's invited to read Srimad Bhagavatam at a wedding or some fire yajna. And it's commonplace, it's accepted protocol that you give some dakshin to the Brahmin. So, but it's not like he's charging a fee. And you kind of offer whatever you can. It's common that if the Brahmin comes and recites, that you may make some offering. He may not take it, you see. But if he says to you, I have to have $200 to do this, then that's a little polluted. Also, one may become a cheap Vaishnava by trying to chant in a secluded place for material adoration, or one may desire a mundane reputation by making compromises with non-devotees concerning one's philosophy or spiritual life. Or one may become a supporter of a hereditary caste system. Let's address that. Prabhupada says a cheap Vaishnava by trying to chant in a secluded place for material adoration. So I want material adoration, some distinction and recognition, because I'm sitting out wearing nothing but a loincloth in the winter in the Himalayas, and I'm chanting. And so if I do this, people may come by and then they offer some little offering. It's not making a living. And people think, oh, let's see, he is so great. It's like the story, Srila Prabhupada went with the devotees back in the early 70s to Kumbh Mela. Kumbh Mela is where, it's at a time when all the stars line up in a certain way. And at a place where the Jamuna and the Ganges River meet up in the Himalayas. And so many, many yogis go there, and many, many sahajas. And some of these yogi sahajas have some mystic potency. So Prabhupada came across this mud hole. It was a big hole full of mud. And out of this hole was a man's hand sticking about this far. And the rest of the man, his head and everything, was under the mud. So somehow or other, he was controlling his life airs. And he could sit there like that with his hand sticking out of the mud. And beside the mud hole was a sign that says, I am Vishnu, and please give some donation. And so Srila Prabhupada chuckled and he said, just see, the Supreme Personality of Godhead stuck in the mud. So we don't give any attention to these folks. If they need to, if they can develop some magic like that, then good for them. And if that's how they want to earn their living, good for that. Are they going back to Godhead? Not in this lifetime. They're going to have to develop devotional service just like the rest of us. Prabhupada, I'll go on. Also, one may become one of. All these are pitfalls of personal sense gratification. Just to cheat some innocent people, one makes a show of advanced spiritual life and becomes known as a sadhu, mahatma, a religious person. All this means, all this means that the so-called devotee has become victimized by all these unwanted creepers, and that the real creeper, the bhakti lata, has been stunned. So they may have started out wanting to go back home, back to Godhead, but they've become victimized by these material desires for fame, profit, adoration, distinction. So, and here's the final verse. This is, let me read this and then we'll get into some discussion. Prateme upashakara karaye chedana tabimula shakabari yaya vrindavana. Lord Chaitanya says, an unwanted creeper growing beside the original creeper, he must cut it down instantly. When the real creeper, the Bhakti Lata, grows nicely, he returns home, back to Godhead, and seeks shelter under the lotus feet of Krishna. So Lord Chaitanya is saying that when you notice these sprouts of material desires, the distracting creepers that can suck away your energy, spiritual nourishment, that you should cut it down instantly. Not make a plan and think, oh, maybe I better deal with it. Lord Chaitanya recommends deal with it right away, instantly. If you do that, then the real creeper, the Bhakti Lata, grows very nicely. And you'll ultimately return home back to Godhead. And you'll attain the shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. Prabhupada says in the purport, this is a very short purport, so get ready with questions and discussion if you have any. Prabhupada says, if one is misled by unwanted creepers and is victimized, he cannot make progress back to Godhead. Wow. I think he's laying it right on the table, isn't he? If one is misled by unwanted creepers and is victimized, he cannot make progress back to Godhead. Rather, he remains within the material world and engages in activities having nothing to do with pure devotional service. That's a fall down. In ISKCON, we call that blooping. Such a person may be elevated to the higher planetary systems, but because he remains within the material world, he is subjected to the threefold material miseries. So the modes are still going to control him. And he hasn't really gained anything. He's still subject to the threefold material miseries. So even though if he ends up in the heavenly planets, still has some difficulty. The biggest difficulty that he has to worry about if he goes to the spiritual planet, to the heavenly planets, is another death, which requires another birth. So, are there any questions or comments at this time? Take it away.
Hello, sir. This is Freddie speaking from El Paso, Texas.
Hey, Hare Krishna, Bhakta Freddie. Long time no see.
Yes, sir. Long time no see.
Almost 24 hours.
Yesterday, yes, sir. I was thinking about, sometimes it takes a while to develop a certain kind of skill. For example, if I wanted to be a concert pianist, maybe if I practice for many years, I might be able to accomplish that goal. And And you know, as we are talking about developing Krishna consciousness, you know, sometimes things take time to develop. I wonder, you know, how long does it take? You know, because are we destined for lifetime after lifetime, or is, you know, I think Srila Prabhupada said it takes 1 minute,
1 minute.
yeah, and that's difficult to understand also because it takes 1 minute, but then I'm here for 3 minutes, and it's and you know, we have to tend the field and try to get the weeds out. And what do you recommend, you know, for encouraging the 1 minute uh, Krishna conscious liberation? Or
If you want to do it in 1 minute, you've got to surrender. It's like if you're in the Ganges River, which is known to have a very strong current. If you're out in the middle, you know, close to the edges, the current is okay. You can deal with it. But as you get out towards the middle, the current's very strong. So if you get out in the middle of the Ganges and you let go, pull your feet up off the ground, and you're not holding on to anything, it will sweep you away. I have one devotee friend who was very good at floating. I was never very good at floating in water, but he's expert. He can lay down in water and just stay right on top of the water. And what he used to do is in Mayapur, he would get out into the Ganges and just lay back and float down the Ganges. He'd go miles and miles and miles. People would see this guy going by, floating down. Sometimes people may think he's a dead body or something. And so then he would get out downstream and take a rickshaw or a taxi back to Mayapur. So if you surrender to the current of devotional service, it will carry you. But if you're out in the Ganges and you're holding on to a rope that's tied to the dock, and you're saying, how long is this going to take for the current to pick me up and carry me away? Well, you know, you're kind of fooling yourself. You're not fooling anybody else, but you're fooling yourself. So you got to let it go. You let go, it'll take you away. So we need all the help we can get to that point of surrender, to letting it go. See? Let go of your material desires. Let go of them by purifying them and making them become spiritual desires. It's not that you're giving up anything. You see? You will still be eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, but you'll be doing this for Krishna. And it's okay if you have some opulence in your life. You know, Krishna doesn't want you to suffer unnecessarily. He doesn't make such a request. So, but Prabhupada says, yeah, 1 minute. How long does it take to become self-realized? Prabhupada said, 1 minute. If you'll take your foot off the brake. You see, how fast can your car go if you've got your foot on the brake? Or emergency brake. You pull the emergency brake and you try to drive to town. You see? So how long does it take? That depends on us. How quickly do we want to go? And the fact of the matter is, we don't always want to go right now to Krishna. You see, we think Krishna is there. We all know God's not going anywhere. You see, he's always going to be there. He's always going to be God. We may even learn that, gee whiz, this Krishna, he loves me so much. He's always going to have that hand extended. Please take this all. I'll help you. So I don't want to forget him, but I do want to dabble in a whole bunch of other things before I surrender. So if we do that, there might be the possibility that we get overcome with material desires, as Lord Chaitanya is describing here. And we may get so distracted that we forget it for this lifetime. You're never going to lose whatever advancement you get. See, whatever realization of your relationship with Krishna that you regain, that's not taken away from you. Your next life, you'll be born with that same realization. See? But you don't have to. You don't have to be born. It doesn't have to take birth after birth. Prabhupada was very adamant in saying 1 minute is all it takes. Trouble is, we're not going to let it be a minute. So I'm going to hang on to the material world because I'm pretty much I have faith in the material world. You know, I've been here for billions of births, and the material world has given me a lot of gratification. Of course, it's given me a lot more suffering than gratification, but I start having faith in God. I have faith in Guru and Krishna, and it's real. It's true faith, but I still have some faith in Maya. And so I enter into the spiritual twilight, you see. I have mixed faith. So it starts out, I'm in Maya, I have full faith in Maya. Then I start to develop some faith in Krishna. And as I develop my faith in Krishna, my faith will diminish a little bit. And then as I move on, I may get to the point where I'm 50-50. I have 50% faith in Krishna, 50% faith in Maya. Then I move on to where maybe I have 1/4 faith in Maya, 3/4 faith in Krishna, and then so on to where I have full faith. When I develop full faith in Guru and Krishna, then I'm finished. I'm out of here. I've lost all faith in Maya. So how long it takes should depend on us. We shouldn't beat ourselves up if it seems like it's taking a long time for us. See? Don't tell yourself you can't do this. Just tell yourself you're not doing this. You see? And you can tell yourself, hey, step it up a little bit. Let's advance a little quicker. That's okay. See? Main thing is to continue the process. Chanting Hare Krishna, associating with devotees, taking prasadam, doing devotional service, hearing and chanting. You just continue that, and your faith will grow. It depends so much on your association. Now, some people say, I said this when I was becoming a devotee. I said to one sannyasi, yes, but I live in a place where there aren't any devotees and there's no temple. I don't have any association. Oh, boo-hoo, poor pitiful me. And he looked at me and he said, then you become association. You become the association for everyone else there. So you can look for association or you can become association. Krishna will empower you if you're trying to pull people along. Krishna will empower you if you're trying to preach. See? If you're trying to be a preacher and trying to save the world, Lord Chaitanya will personally work through you. There is absolutely no doubt that will happen. It's a guarantee. So, good question. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. It clarifies a lot, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna
Jagdish.
Jagdish. Jai
How are you?
Jagadish Hare.
Thank you. Jai Jivanand Prabhu. So, we have to develop this bhakti creeper, of course, by subduing our material desires. I understand. But what about the role of regulative principles? I feel if we follow the regulative principles, it takes away our time from material, involvements, and at the same time makes us peaceful And will that help us a lot by growing our bhakti creeper?
Yes, yes. You still have activities, you still have desires, but they become spiritualized. Uh,
Yes. So
instead of wanting
here
it from,
connect.
instead of wanting these things for me, I'm wanting them for Krishna. You may become even, and I've seen this happen, the devotee becomes even more successful monetarily than ever before, because now he's not doing his work, his business out of some lust for me. He's doing it out of love for Krishna. See, when you add love to the equation, then it's amazing how hard you can see. So, that
Yes.
answer your question?
So yes, definitely. That is for the mind. I mean, for bhakti is for the mind, but for the body, what I was thinking is if we do regulative principles like putting our body into, as you said, to works that we like, to offer in the name of the Lord. Just like I try to grow flowers when I have a lot of time. I guess it will take away our desire, unwanted weeds. Instead, focus on bhakti. I guess what I'm saying is everyone has to find something of interest to do so that we can channelize that interest in the favor of Krishna instead of for ourselves, which is what I guess you're also saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Channel your energy and your desire serving Krishna. That doesn't mean that you're not going to get to enjoy anymore. See, I like to eat, and I like to eat opulent foodstuffs. If I prepare opulent foodstuffs as an offering to my deities, then it becomes spiritual, and I still get to eat opulent foodstuff. You see, difference is I've had a change of heart, and I'm doing these activities for Krishna as an offering of love. And then the process
Yes.
of eating is even better, because now I'm not cooking out of some mode. I'm cooking out of love for Krishna. I want to please my deities. So I'm going to cook everything's going to be first class. It's going to taste better because it's an offering of love. When you put that ingredient of love in preparations that you're making for Krishna, you benefit.
Yes. Is it true that our capabilities will increase enormously when we offer for Krishna? I have seen this. My brother started to cook, and now he's cooking more things. And even I started to cook from past probably 3 years, 4 years, and I'm cooking a range of recipes now. And the same thing with flowers. I used to grow very few flowers. Now the whole garden is like probably 30 types of flowers now.
Yeah. And now you're a better gardener than you ever knew you could be. When I've seen this, when people start to cook for Krishna, all of a sudden, we all become amazed at just how good they can cook. People, they may have never been talented in cooking, but they start trying to prepare prasadam for Krishna, and all of a sudden, Krishna empowers them to cook better and better and better. So it's not uncommon.
So have you seen Prabhu capabilities of anyone increases in their work when we do work for Krishna? More examples.
Say the question again.
So I would like to know more examples of people whose capabilities in their work has tremendously increased when they offer any work to Krishna.
Yeah. I mean, you're working to please Krishna, and Why would he not empower you to do your work better? I experienced that myself. I've seen many, many, many people experience that. When they start to work for Krishna, they find talents that it appears like they never had. It's because Krishna is empowering them. Krishna will empower you to the degree that you want to serve him. He will empower you. See? Potency comes from Krishna. So if I want to do nicely for Krishna, why would he not empower me to do nicely? Now, he may make me struggle for a while to show him that I'm really sincere about doing something nice for him. But ultimately, he will empower you.
Yeah, there's one thing I've seen. It takes away the pressure, the stress, and the tension of going after results to please ourselves. When you work for others, that is for Krishna or for family, you don't even think that, like, I have to be driven hard to get results. But we just do our best effort.
Typically, what I've
Leave the
seen
rest.
is people automatically become driven when they're doing their activities as an offering to Krishna. That's typically after themselves. It's just, if you're doing something as an offering of love, then the driving force is that love. The being driven comes from that intense desire to serve. Love doesn't take a holiday. I may have lust to establish myself with profit, and fame, action, and distinction. But once in a while, I may think, you know what? I'm tired of working so hard. My lust will take a vacation, and I'm just going to enjoy. I'm not going to work so hard. Love, though, is different. Love for Krishna is constant. It's 24 hours every day. So I'm going to be wanting always to perform my mission to serve you. And even if I take some time to rest and become strong, maybe study, I'm doing that so that I can go back even stronger, demonstrate my love for Krishna. Does that make any sense?
Yes, definitely, Prabhu. We have to be constantly, what you're saying is right. We should not forget, we should be constantly thinking of pleasing him.
Yeah.
That helps.
As your love develops, that will naturally. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna.
All right, Krishna.
This is Kurt. I just wanted to thank you for communicating with us and sharing with us. I really like the practical aspects of what you're saying, particularly like the mulch example. I thought was great, and the whole just trajectory of your talk reminds me, when I write my Guru Maharaj, and I've been, I've had a relationship with him for like 17 years, and I'm still not initiated, if that tells you anything. But anytime I write him, he says, slow and steady progress. That's that, and so for a lot of us, that's what it is. And I think you touched on some important points, namely, the continued sadhana and the association with devotees and so on, and that really is, so integral to any kind of incremental success or miraculous success. Like Prabhupada spoke of, the 1 minute. Well, for most of us, that's not our experience, but in any case, it comes down to the sadhana and the hearing and and the association with devotees. So I really appreciate this opportunity to hear from you. And this is my second day this week of getting to hear from you. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Dr. Kurt. One of these days, when it's safe, I'm going to be heading back to San Antonio, so I'll see you there.
Great.
You just keep on keeping on. It's good that we may feel that I've been doing this a long time and I haven't made enough advancement. The fact of the matter is you've made more advancement than you think, which is good. If you're thinking I've made so much advancement, then you haven't made much advancement. So, but you've done much better than you think. My advice is always take your foot off the brake. Let the current of Bhakti Yoga, let the current of the holy name pull you along. Let it take you. It will do it. So, and go at the pace that you feel is safe. But I have seen a lot of people, an unfortunate number of people, who get lodged in a position, you see, and they've been around a long time and they haven't taken that very important step of becoming initiated. See? That's okay if you don't lose sight of the goal. You see? Don't lose sight of that. Make that a goal. And you should be, and you can be.
Yeah, and I mean, I can tell you just practically speaking, since, being in San Antonio, which is I don't know how big you all's communities are, but the San Antonio community, if you're not familiar with it, is quite small. It's quite, it's a fledgling community, and being very much involved in what's going on, my sadhana has definitely increased, and so on and so forth. And so I think, being plugged in has a lot to do with it, because when we are, it gives us that opportunity to hear, to be inspired. And
Yeah.
And so that's why, I'm so grateful to you, Jivananda Prabhu, for being with us, so.
It is absolutely my pleasure.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I've got a stupid question.
A stupid question? Maybe I can give you a stupid answer.
What's the significance of the orange rope around your neck?
Oh, this is, it's a kavach. It's offered to Lord Nrsingadev in Mayapur. So
Okay.
it is Lord Nrsingadev. When you offer something to the Lord, he accepts the offering by becoming the offering. So it just makes me feel.
It's comforting looking.
Sarah, it's a
Did that
demon
make any
intestine.
sense?
It's a demon intestine, Sarah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a demon.
Okay.
And it keeps the demons away, and the demons are these hippie seeds. See, I don't want these hippie
I'm
seeds.
only about a year in, so I'm still learning.
No, you're doing great. You're doing great. You just stay there.
Hare Krishna, Gurudev.
Hey, Hare Krishna, Bhakti.
I just wanted to say thank you, and it's good to hear from you. I got on a little late today because I was just leaving school, and I was playing it through the car, and I'm probably going to lose service in a second. So I just wanted to say thank you, and it's good to hear you. And if I might have to get off early, but thank you. I'm glad I got to hear what I did.
You know what the rule is? If you're late, we're going to dock your pay.
Okay.
I thought it was funny. So good to hear from you, Dr. Chris. And
yeah,
better late than never.
Well, thank you, Gurudev. I just wanted to say thank you for taking your time, and it's good to hear from you. So I might lose service in a second. So if I drop out, I'm sorry.
You're starting to break up. and a bad egg. Okay, anyone else? What about you, Rada Sundry? Are you ready to hit the button to turn this thing off?
Whenever you're ready, Guru Dave. I'm just trying to think about everything. I did have a question, but I don't know if it's a silly question.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I've been thinking since this whole process of the house and things like that. Like, I always think in my head, like, you know, I want this to be an offering to Krishna. This is his home, and this is he's gonna be his place. But I can't help but think it's my dream too. So it's confusing. Like, am I doing it for Krishna, or am I doing it because I want it? And it's, I mean, I guess I can answer my own question, because there was an instant that we were gonna drop it because everything was just like the doors were closing, and I'm like, okay, fine. If this is like not what you want, then I'm okay if it doesn't happen. And then it was like that for a few days. I was sad and everything, but like I just left it. And then it came back to me after I said, like if you want this to happen, then you open the doors. So, but then like I get moments where I'm like in it, right? I'm in it and I'm doing stuff, and then I realize, oh my God, I'm not thinking of Krishna. I'm thinking like me. Like I would like this color, and so it's like confusing. It's constantly confusing. Like,
Well, it's like if you're an attorney and you're a devotee attorney. There are many devotee attorneys, and you're doing your work to serve Guru and Krishna. While you're presenting your case to the judge, you may not be meditating on Krishna. You see, when you're building a house, if you're a carpenter, you're pounding nails. If you're thinking about Krishna constantly and not focusing on hitting that nail, you're going to wreck your thumbs. You see, cooking, when you cook, of course we're thinking of Krishna. We're trying to do this for Krishna. But I have to focus on what I'm doing, or I'll burn something, or overspice or underspice. So the fact that you're doing this as an offering to Krishna means that you're thinking of Krishna by thinking of doing the act. You see what I mean? You can focus on the job and the chore, but you're focusing on Krishna. Make any sense? So it's good that you think like that, but it's okay. You are doing it for Krishna, and you did. You said to Krishna, "Hey, look, I had this desire for you, and it looks like it's not going to work out. So I'm attached, but I'm unattached. And so if you want it to happen for me and for you, open some doors." And he opened the doors. And so it's materializing. Things are looking up very well. So
thank you, Gurudev.
All right, guys. Guru Dev, it's 6:56 p.m. here. We've enjoyed every second of it. I guess if anyone has any final questions, any final reflections, please share them now.
yeah, and let's go ahead. I'm thinking, unless somebody has a question or comment, it's probably good that we wrap it up. I think sometimes people don't want to get involved because they think, oh my God, it's going to take so long.
Yeah.
I don't want to take too much time, but then I don't want to deprive people who want to take the time. So
right, exactly. There has to be a balance there, and I appreciate that you're willing to take that time to do that. So,
well, the good thing about this, what do you call it? This type of
Sangha.
Yeah, this virtual post is that people can drop off anytime they want to and may not even notice it. So
Yeah, exactly.
If I've got you all in a room and somebody stands up to leave, that's kind of obvious. So pretty much you can go if you want, but those who want to stay and talk, as much time as I can give, I as you like. So thank you all very much. All glories to Apollo. And I'll see you Sunday. What's the time? Same time, same place?
Same time, same place, same channel.
Hey, all right.
Yeah.
Oh, Vinda.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you
Hare
guys for coming out and joining us. It's been a lot of
Hare
fun.
Krishna.
We'll see you guys on Sunday.
Thank you.
Bye.